No, she's
doing good.
on her way.
All right. Well, we wish her the best. The Tennessee basketball team is off to a fast start at SEC play, and this past week they were given more respect in the national polls as they have now moved into the number 5 spot in the AP standings, right behind Alabama. Somehow or another, we're behind Alabama.
Every time.
this year, but
familiar scenario.
We are behind them again, and the Vols are 14-2 overall and 4-0 in SEC play. And Coach Trail, I'll start with you. Is this Tennessee team playing the best basketball in the country, and should they be ranked higher than they are right now, or are they just about where they should be?
I tell you what, I think they're in a good spot. You know, I think they're in a good spot, and they're playing good. If you keep on doing it, you're going to move up.
Sure.
But you know, I think a lot of times you jump them up further than they ought to be, and then they come back down. And that's, to me, I'd rather have the other way.
Yeah.
I'd rather be working my way up toward the playoffs and everything and tournaments. I'd rather be on the rise than to go up and come back down.
Right.
Yeah, you get them too high, and guess what? There may be a South Carolina
Yeah, well,
lurking in the future.
Yeah.
Well, Marcus, I'm going to hit you with this one because this Tennessee team is playing as well as anybody in the country. There's no doubt about it. Are they heading toward that number 1 spot? Tennessee basketball has been there before, but after they've gotten there, they haven't stayed there very long. But is this one heading that way?
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if they got a number 1 at some point in the next couple of weeks, if depending on how things break in front of them. I don't think it's essential for them, and I don't think it's something they are really concerned about. They're not playing like they're concerned about ranking. So, I mean, it's a possibility, and it depends on what's ahead of them. I don't think they're going to, even if they were to beat Kentucky like they did South Carolina, I don't think anybody's going to pop them to number 1 just for that.
Yeah. How does this team, Marcus, compare to some of the other outstanding teams Rick Barnes has had here at Tennessee? What sets them apart?
Well, you know,
if anything,
they've had a good defense, but and you know they've been in the top 5 last 3 years, I guess, in the adjusted defensive rankings. But they're topping that out this year, and I think it's because the development of the post, especially with Adu, because it allows those guards to be so aggressive because you've got a guy back there who anybody who comes in that paint, he can block their shot. He's a true shot blocker. I don't think we've seen that kind of shot blocker in college. I don't think even with some of the good guys we've had at Tennessee, like Pons and, you know, some of those guys, I don't think they've got the skill. He's got a natural talent for blocking the basketball.
Yeah. Coach Trail,
Really
this team, history shows that the teams that make it to the Final Four and they get a shot at the national championship have come from teams predominantly that have been ranked in the top 10 throughout the year. Not somebody that's just slipped in there. They've consistently been in the top 10 all year. Well, UT has been in the top 10 except early.
Yeah.
You know, they went down to that tournament in, Nassau or the Bahamas or somewhere, and they had a great they won that thing. They beat Kansas and some other good teams there, and Southern Cal, I think they beat them, and Butler, and moved them in. They moved them right up there, and they've been there pretty much ever since. And you know, Coach Barnes has just had trouble in the NCAA tournament. Do you see this team being different than the others, where they can break that mold and get to the Final Four?
I think this team is a lot different than the others. I think that the ball movement is better. The whole thing is moving faster than any team I've seen him have here in the last 3 or 4 years. They've always had 1 or 2 guys on the outside that could shoot, and everybody else just kind of rolled around. But I tell you what, now they're moving. I mean, they are moving and getting open shots and taking them. Not just 1 or 2 guys, but everybody.
Yeah.
They're getting open and they're moving, and that's the problem that most people have, is everything kind of goes to a slow, and it comes down to one guy out front trying to set things up. but nobody's moving.
Yeah. I think what sets his team apart from some of the others, Coach Barnes has always hung his head on defense.
Yeah.
This team has Donnie has no exception here. They're hanging
absolutely
there,
not.
but they're deep.
They're
deep,
Yeah,
and with Josiah Jordan James coming back, they're even deeper, which means that you can run people in and out there and not get hurt defensively or offensively with substitutions off of the bench.
The difference is in the past they've been deep offensively, but this year, and with this team, they are deep defensively as well.
Yeah, and everybody's fit into that role.
Right.
Everybody understands that I'm going to get on the floor. I'm going to get my playing time. It's not going to be whether I don't have to worry about somebody playing poorly for me to get in there. I know I'm going to get in at a certain time, and I'm going to get my minutes.
Sure.
Key's going to start the game. And then they're going to make adjustments.
Well, I think you got it right on the head, because it seems like that this team is more all together than any team he's had, and I think he's brought them along, and they're all playing great together. And just like you say, you can substitute anybody in and out. You don't get much change.
Yeah. Right. Yeah,
you don't get hurt.
No, you guy gets tired, you goes out, another guy comes in. You don't see a weak spot there.
Right. And if you're not playing well or you make a mistake, well, get your tail out of there. I got somebody else I can put in there, and that happens a few times too.
Well, yeah. You want to play. I mean, you've practiced all week or whatever, and I want to play.
Got it.
I think if you don't want to play, you don't need to be there.
Yep. And Marcus, the team has been pretty free of injuries this year. Outside of Josiah Jordan James, they haven't had to fight off any people missing games, which hadn't always been the case in the past.
No.
But I think that goes back to having extra players that you can get in and out.
Right.
You don't have to play the whole.
And if you get people hurt, you're not going to be hurt. Let's talk about where they're at right now. And I know everybody's excited out there. They're at 14-2 overall. They're 4-1 in the league, and I don't know. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, do I need to just go ahead and concede the SEC regular season championship to Tennessee? Because boy, have they got it ever set up now. Everybody's excited because they're 4-0, but you got to understand that they've played Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Vandy, which are all second-tier schools right now. And you can really throw Kentucky in there today because they're hovering. They're a bottom dweller too. They're hovering around at the bottom of the league also. But with the heavy hitters, I'm talking about Alabama, I'm talking about Auburn, and I'm talking about Arkansas. They got them at home. They got them at home, and they only play Arkansas and Alabama once this year, and they got them at home. They play Kentucky and Auburn home and away, and outside of that, it looks pretty favorable, Marcus. I don't know. Should we just go ahead and order the rings right now? Because I don't.
You never order the rings now.
I don't see this thing. I don't see this thing going anywhere. But
the only person who does that is up in Lexington, and they just keep them in a drawer.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a race, and you'll see the West. I mean, those teams are going to Auburn, Alabama, Arkansas. Those teams, I think, all play each other twice, so they're going to beat themselves up because they're going to put losses on each other.
Yeah,
it's possible somebody comes out of that other side, and maybe it's Alabama that comes out unblistered from that. But I don't see Tennessee just walking through with that, no matter how well they're playing, because I think right now, as good as Tennessee is defensively, Alabama's that good offensively.
Yeah. Donnie Moore, I'm just seeing the Alabama-Tennessee game coming down to that game. It's up here, and Alabama will be rated in front of them a little bit. What if they just stay 4-5, or 3-4, and Alabama's one ahead, and that place is packed over there, and Tennessee hits a last second. Vescovi hits a three-pointer at the buzzer, and they tear down the goals. They tear the goals down.
I can see
and
that
they
happening.
haul them out of the arena, and they throw them in the river down there.
I can see
what
that
do you think
happening.
about that deal?
Well, some I have heard it said that Alabama basketball team is the best team in the country right now.
Hey, what kind of publicity could they get on that? Have you ever heard of a school tearing down the basketball goals after
I
a
was
win?
just wondering how they're going to bring a cutting torch and how it's going to work.
Well, you just put Plavsic out there on a ladder, and he just yanks them down. It's not a problem.
Okay.
Not a problem, and he can help you carry him down there.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
Well, I can see that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Would be interesting. Yeah.
But the thing is, you don't count your chicken before the hatch. So they got to play
Absolutely
the tournament. You got to play, and we don't have a good. Seemed like ever since he's been here, we had a pretty good season, but we never could do anything in the tournament.
Well, that's true. But, you know, I had people from India, after they beat Alabama in football, I had people from Indiana calling me and saying, man, I'm a Tennessee fan. I'm a Tennessee fan now. Unbelievable. Tearing the goalpost down. I know people all on the field. They haven't seen nothing yet till they tear them basketball goals down. You talk about publicity. There'd be publicity from here to Hawaii on tearing basketball goals down. What do you think of that, Marcus? You like that idea or liability? You think we got some liability there or what?
I mean, you could. I'm going to say, having been around, and this is one of my more interesting college basketball games in Division III I ever saw, where they allowed the fans around the goals that are, and you know how they're not anchored in the walls anymore. They're standing up, and they were literally shaking it during a free throw for the other team. And nobody was calling it. So, no, I don't think fans around those goalposts are a good idea in the least. Put them around the baskets. No.
All right, let's talk about the league before we get to Kentucky here. Alabama's number 4, Tennessee's number 5, Arkansas's 15, Missouri's 20, and Auburn's 21. So we got 5 teams out of the Southeastern Conference, Coach Trail, that's in the top 25. Is this league stronger or weaker than it's been in the past at this point?
Well, I don't think right now that – you said all those teams. You only got 1 or 2 there is very dominant.
Yeah, Alabama and Tennessee. That's
right.
it.
And the rest of them are, scrambling.
Yeah, there's.
And I just think it's going to come down to Alabama and Tennessee, which is a natural thing in everything in Alabama and Tennessee. It's pretty much.
And I think that would be so great for college basketball because the Tennessee fans are going on. Oh, we got some unfinished business here. They finished the AP poll and put Alabama ahead of us in football, and we beat them. How could they do that? Well, we're going to take care of them. We're going to even it up in basketball right here,
exactly
and we're going to take care of them. Let's talk about Kentucky. Boy, I'll tell you, I don't even know where I don't even know where we're starting with these people. They're like a pregnant fox in a forest fire trying to find their way out, Coach Trail. They cannot find any identity whatsoever. They can't shoot from outside, and they can't guard anybody, I mean, that doesn't leave much.
That's what I was going to say.
That don't leave much.
Can they warm up? I mean, they're not playing, so maybe they can't warm up.
They talk about all them
great
5-star players up there. They're playing like single stars. You know it? Not together, just
but
lost.
That's what's scary about them. Is as bad as they have been, and they've looked bad. It's not that they're playing that way for a lack of talent. When you look at them, I mean, you can see individually, you can see moments where all those guys have potential if they were playing together, but you're not seeing anything clicking. That mutual support from a team is not there.
No.
The help defense is atrocious.
Yeah.
When it comes for making that next pass, they're either passing up the best shot for the second best shot just to make another pass for the excuse of making another pass, or they're taking it without even passing the ball.
Oh, they're taking shots. It's unbelievable.
Hey,
they come down the floor, guy dribbling, he'll shoot from mid-court.
Yeah.
And they can't fire Coach Cal. He's got a lifetime contract.
Yeah, well, Texas wants him.
Well,
they threw a fan out there. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, did you see they ejected a fan this week for holding up a sign that said, "Please go to Texas."
Yeah.
Oh, they ejected him.
Yeah,
kicked him out.
Yeah, but that guy that ejected him was related to Calipari. So he was a cousin.
It was Calipari's uncle.
They didn't finish that story. It was his brother. Got him out of there, dressed up like a cop. Hey, Sheboy inside. great player, but they're just smothering him.
Oh,
they're just
yeah.
absolutely smothering him and saying, y'all just shoot all you want out there.
Yeah.
You shoot it all
Yeah.
you want. You know, he's
He's
struggling.
They
He's
need to
gonna
put
ha-
Sheepway. Let
he's
Sheepway
gonna
take
have
control
to-
of the game.
He's going to have to come outside some and get out. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't stand there under the goal
No.
and just
Yeah.
keep standing there. And,
Absolutely.
And they just back
But that's his
everything up.
identity.
Huh?
I mean, that's his identity.
That's what he does,
He's
yeah.
like, I'm going to be in here. I'm going to get rebounds. And I'm going to get a lot of second
Yeah.
chance points. But you saw what South Carolina did to him. They just packed it down and said, "Let somebody else beat us," and they couldn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm
They
saying.
couldn't-
Hey, they're just
Yeah.
beating him
Right
up in there. I watched that South
They
Carolina
were beating
game.
him up
They
defensively,
just beat
and they
him
were
up and beat
taking
him up,
at him
and he just
on the
kept
other
looking
side.
over at the bench
Yes.
like, "Get me out of here. I've had enough. I've had enough of this. Get me off
Yeah.
of the floor."
Because they were doing it both sides. They were taking the ball directly at him, daring him to foul, trying to put him in positions that he was just wearing him out.
Hey, South Carolina is not a very good basketball team.
no.
We beat them 40 points down there in Columbia or something like that. It was ridiculous. And they go up to Rupp Arena and beat Kentucky in there. They got problems. You know what? They
Whoa.
got problems.
They don't even look like a Kentucky
Yeah.
team to me.
They don't.
They're from the old days all the way through. They have no. I don't know what it is. No team effort, and they're gonna have a leader outside. You know, I always like the idea of one guy brings the ball down the court and sets it up. And you watch them, any
Point
guy,
guard.
yeah, a point guard that sets up your offense. And they don't have it. They just throw it to whoever's open, and he dribbles the ball down the court, and
And then shoots it.
then either shoots it or makes a dumb play with it.
Well, they don't have that. They don't have that. Look, they have no identity. So they're not decided about what they want to do. Do they want to go inside and use that to open up other things, or do they want to go from the outside to open him up? I mean,
Well, that's
they're
what
not. They can't decide what they want to do.
That's what I'm saying.
Because they're not doing either one well.
They're not
And
even close.
You've got to have, like you said, you've got to have somebody who's going to step up and be your reliable shooter, who's going to take that three with 5 seconds left.
That's what I'm saying.
know.
You got to have a guy bring the ball down the court and set your offense up so everybody knows where they're supposed to be and go.
Hey, you know, they got that saying, go big blue, go
Yeah.
big blue, go big blue, go big blue. And they all just start
Yeah.
when they're well, they're not. They're playing a record up there now at Kentucky. They can't even get anybody to say that. They're so bad.
Well,
I mean,
here-
this is the worst Kentucky team that I've seen.
But here's the
Yeah,
thing.
I've never seen one as
they're
disorganized.
bad. They're
Yeah.
just bad.
I want Tennessee to do what they did last Saturday with South Carolina. I don't want them to get merciful or get comfortable or get complacent or take the pedal off. I want them to do what Vescovi did to end the first half at South Carolina and just put that three up even though you're up by 20 and walk away like you don't care that you just put a
Well,
dagger in them.
own
Because
'em.
because there is
Own
no
'em.
doubt if Kentucky were to find themselves next week or if they find themselves today and put up a good game, when you go to Rupp, they're not going to have any mercy on you. If they can beat you by 40 to make a
Absolutely
statement,
not.
they will.
Well, you know, Calipari's 7-11 against Rick Barnes. They're hurting. I think they're going to come in here today, and I think Tennessee's going to absolutely kick the living daylights out of them. And everybody says, well, this is Kentucky. It's a 12 o'clock game. You can throw out all of the records. This is a bad Kentucky basketball team.
This will be the turning point for Kentucky's
Yeah.
season right here. If they don't make a statement against
Well,
Tennessee
the
today, it's over. for
The
Kentucky.
closest thing that I've ever seen to this is we got off, I think it was my junior year, to a 4-0 start. Same deal, 4-0. Adolph Rupp in Kentucky was 1-3. 1-3. Nobody's ever won this league with more than 4 or 5 losses. I mean,
Right.
we're talking about the first part of the year. Now,
Yeah.
this was back in '72. We go to Rupp Arena up there, and we're sky high. And Adolph Rupp has got gangrene in his leg and his foot, and they're talking about taking his leg off, and he's not going to be at the game. So we're going up there, and we're going, well, they're without Rupp, and we're rolling, and we beat them today, and they're pretty much out of the league. We don't have to worry about Kentucky. And back then it was always Kentucky and us pretty much.
Yep.
It was.
They roll Rupp in there in a wheelchair with his leg propped up. and I'm warming up, and I'm just like, well, you can kiss this baby goodbye. 'Cause we're in trouble, you know. And it came right down to the wire, and they hit a last-second shot and beat us 72-70 up there, and it saved them their season. And of course, we went on and tied. We tied for the Southeastern Conference Championship. But that was a game that could have kept us from winning the championship outright. So it's early in the year, but their backs are against the wall. That's the only time that I've ever seen a Kentucky team that's been their back to the wall like it in 72, like it is right now. Well, we'll see what happens, but we'll see. That game's at 12 o'clock today on ESPN, and I want to talk a little bit about the atmosphere, Coach Trail. And, you know, you've been involved in Alabama games when you were Arkansas. You played Texas. You've been involved, and I've been involved in big games with Kentucky. It's a whole different atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you go in there and you go, well, it's just – you think – well, people think, well, it's just a game. It's just another game. It's not. It's electric. There's something about the atmosphere in the arena. It's something about, you know, the opponent, the tradition of both opponents, all these. And when I talk about ghosts, you know, opening the show, I'm talking about there's ghosts flying around in there. I'm telling you, they're everywhere, and it's electric. It's just not another game. It's hard to explain the feeling, isn't it, Coach?
Kind of like the Maryville Alcoa football.
Yes, it's hard to explain that feeling to a fan, but it's a whole different atmosphere.
When I played at Arkansas, we'd go to Texas. I didn't care. We didn't care who, what. When they run out there on that field and they play the eyes of Texas are upon you, and you're looking around and you think, God, what am I doing here? You know, it's a different deal, just like you're saying.
Yeah. We went up to Kentucky one year, and of course, back then they had to line up for tickets. That arena sent 10,600 people, and you had to line up the night before and camp out. So we go to practice the night before, and they're all out there in their tents lined up all the way around the arena, and it's snowing. It's like 25 or 30 degrees and snowing, and we're going into the arena, and somebody starts yelling, Edwards, how'd you like to kiss my duh? Well, we get in there, and we get to the locker room, and everybody's starting laughing and everything. Well, I've told that story for years, and then I told my wife, and we've been married 50 years, and still to this day, when she gets mad at me, she'll go, Edwards, how'd you like to kiss my? So that's what you get from Kentucky games, Coach Trail, huh? You pick up those little things, you see, that ruin your life. Huh?
That's right.
Hey, let's talk about Chris Lofton. Marcus, Chris Lofton's number 5 jersey is going to be retired at halftime today between Kentucky and Tennessee. I don't know why they picked the Kentucky game, since he's from Maysville, Kentucky, and he destroyed him while he was here. So I guess they're just going to rub a little bit more into the wound. But great player here, going to retire his jersey. Be a great day for him and the fans.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, as much as I think a lot's been made, because Chris has done some amazing things since he left UT, and, you know, the nonprofits he started and the attentions he's brought to his causes have been outstanding. And, you know, the SEC and Tennessee especially have supported him. But it's almost overshadowed, which is hard to say, because people forget what such a good player he really was, because there's so few players.
No kidding.
It's like he was such a good three-point shooter and was so good at Tennessee, but somehow it seems to have gotten lost in translation and everything that happened at Tennessee after that, that it's not – he doesn't get as much recognition for being the player as he does for what he's done afterwards now.
Yeah. I think what sets him apart as a player and the worthiness of the jersey being retired, not necessarily his statistics. He averaged 16.6 points a game. He shot 45.4% from the field, 84% from the foul line. He played in 128 games. A lot of games. You're going to score some points in 128 games. 2,131 points. I think what sets him apart with the retirement of his jersey is the shots and some of the plays he made in big games.
Yeah.
That he's remembered for.
Clutch shots.
I think that sets him apart, because I think his statistics are okay.
Oh,
they're okay,
yeah.
but they're not. I mean, you're not looking at the guy that averaged 25, 26 points a game. Shot 48% from the field or whatever. but he made the big play.
Yeah.
He sure did, huh? He sure did.
Like, Dane Bradshaw told a great story last weekend once that South Carolina game got out of hand about when Lofton came on and when he matured into, they realized he was going to be a player. And it was when they were getting blown out in one of those holiday tournaments. And everybody else had kind of just said, we're down by 20 or 30. We're just going to play this one out. And Lofton did not. And Tennessee didn't come back and win that, but he put on a show for the second half of that game. And that was when he took that step forward, and he never stepped back.
Nope.
If there was a shot to be taken, even the ones he missed, because he missed 2 in the NCAA tournament that were huge, that could have won games and moved Tennessee to the next round. But he hit the one against Texas. He hit the one against Auburn. He hit the one against Kentucky.
Exactly. Also, it's a little bit refreshing, Coach Trey, and we've talked a little bit about this in the past. Chris Lofton didn't play pro basketball. He didn't drafted. He was undrafted. He played overseas. He's professional basketball. Now, they've retired 4 other jerseys. Dale Ellis played 4 years. He played pro ball. Bernard King, he played 3 years. He would have played 4 years here, but he left early, and he played pro. Ernie Grunfield played 4 years. He played pro ball. Allen Houston played 4 years, and he played pro basketball. And Chris Lofton, 4 years, and did not play. It's based, and this is the way it should be, pretty much based on his college career, Coach.
Right.
And that's what you're retiring the jersey for, not for his pro career.
No.
For his college career. So I think that's refreshing.
That's what it ought to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a matter of whether a guy can go pro or not.
Yep.
It's what he did here.
Right, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
I mean, I think that's a fallacy that a lot of people have. A guy goes to the pros and does good, and then they come back and want to make a Hall of Famer out of him.
Right.
But it wasn't. He didn't do that here.
And all of these guys had the opportunities to put up the numbers because they played 4 years. A lot of fans don't understand this.
Oh, yeah.
Back before freshmen were eligible, players played around 75 to 77 games. That's 25 game schedule plus whatever. Lofton played 128 games. That's 51 more games than players played up until freshmen were eligible.
Yeah.
51 more games. Now you say, well, he played 4 years over there. That's what I just got done saying. He played 4 years. But game-wise, compared to players before that era, he played 5 years game-wise. See, he played 5 years game-wise. So those guys that are there, statistical-wise, had a little bit of an advantage there.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of advantage.
Oh, yeah.
But a great honor for him, great honor for his family and the coaches that he played for and so forth, and we wish him nothing but the best. Be a big halftime over. Be a little bit different than what they have at halftime over there in the past. They have what, Clarabelle and the Dancing Dogs, or what else? What else they do at halftime over there? Troy always filled me in on the halftime thing.
Spinning plates
where the gal would come out and spin plates on her nose and that type of thing. So this will be a real change. Real change of place over
more
there.
of a fit-in type deal.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, it's time to turn the page, and up next is the local scoreboard with Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore and Mark It Down featuring Marcus Fitzsimmons. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe.
Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093. The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the local scoreboard sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty. Donnie Moore, I'm going to turn it over to you, but happy birthday to your dad.
Yeah, well,
might as well get him on the air this morning because he's got a big birthday today.
Thank you, Mike. Happy birthday to my dad. Yeah, he turns, Don Moore Sr. turns 88 today.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Dad. I know you're listening.
That's the new 40, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah. He's just so happy birthday, Dad. Yeah, we got the local scoreboard here coming up. We've sponsored, as always, by Mandy B. Street Realty. We had a sextet of games in the area last night. Alcoa hosted Pigeon Forge last night, and in the girls' contest, the Lady T's are rolling. I'm not hearing myself very well. We'll ignore that and continue. Everybody else hearing me okay? Okay, good. Alcoa beat Pigeon Forge last night 77-43. That's a lot of points for a girls' game, isn't it, Marcus?
Somewhat, but
not for Lady
no, not real. I mean, no.
77-43, Alcoa over Pigeon Forge. And in the boys' contest, the Tornadoes put up 70 on Pigeon Forge to the Tigers 45. So congratulations, a double victory there for Alcoa last night. Over at Heritage last night, 59-43 against Maryville. Congratulations. Yeah, 59-43 in favor of the Lady Mountaineers.
Still unbeaten in the district.
Yeah, they're doing well.
Tough. I mean, this was the first of big three for them because they've got Bearden and Farragut next week. So huge for them to get that win, start that 3-game stretch off right.
They're doing well. In the boys' contest, though, Maryville took that split. Maryville scored 69 to Heritage's 48. So Maryville's pretty much on top of the district right now, too, aren't they?
They're doing well, and I think we'll follow up with that when we get into this next segment. We got some Rebels sitting here waiting to come on and take the court with us.
Chomping at the bits. They're looking to go over and watch the Vols play here in just a little while. So we'll get to them very shortly. Kings Academy hosted CAK last night. Don't have a score reported for the ladies. I don't know whether they played or not. But in the boys contest, Kings Academy bested CAK 48-36. Congratulations to the Lions there. Maryville Christian Academy hosted Clayton Bradley last night and took a twin bill from Clayton Bradley, 51-21 in the girls contest and 63-28 in the men's contest to follow. Yeah. Seymour hosted Northview last night, and 41-30 was in favor of Seymour last night in the girls' game. But Northview split with them in the boys and took the twin bill, took the nightcap in the boys' contest, 66-49. Marcus.
Yeah, Coach Mobley's doing a good job. He's working that program, but they've still got some place to go. But
he is. I think they've just won a couple of games.
On the girls' side, we talked last week about how some teams are kind of embracing the Rick Barnes motto of defense.
Right.
Coach Hernandez really is. The Lady Eagles are playing some really great defense right now.
Greg's doing a great job with it.
I mean, I was honestly wondering when Seymour and Heritage girls played if that was going to be like a 9-8 game because of the way those defenses are playing, because they're both just really defensively focused.
Well, Hardin Valley came in the last contest we're going to report to you. Hardin Valley came to William Blount last night to the Marv to take on the Govs and Lady Govs. And in the girls contest, Hardin Valley, the Lady Hawks put it on the Lady Govs 52-36. And in the boys contest, the newly state-ranked William Blount Governors had a jinx last night. You get ranked, you get state-ranked, and you get beat. That's the way it goes.
That's pretty much the AP poll in the prep basketball is not a kind mistress.
It is not a kind of mistress, is it? But the Govs went down 65-61 last night, fell to the Hawks in the nightcap. So they won't be ranked number 4 when next week's poll.
They had that big game next game deal. Remember those games, Coach, where you
win
that big game and you're feeling real good, and then you go play the next one and they went over to Bearden. That Bearden, first time they'd beaten them over there in
40 games.
40 games.
They had lost
Tuesday
40 in a
night,
row to Bearden.
And then they come home and get beat by Hardin Valley.
Got beat by Hardin Valley. Hardin Valley's a good basketball team.
Yeah, they got a good basketball team.
Yeah, they do.
got beat by a good team.
They sure do. They sure do. But that's it for the Mandy B. Street Realty local scoreboard. So we're going to, at this time, turn it over to Marcus for his feature, Mark It Down. But before we do, I'm going to tell you that you're listening to WKCE 105.1 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. Marcus?
Well, thanks, Donnie. And as we alluded to in that little bit of a
teaser?
Yeah, we'll call it a teaser. We do have some Rebels in the house. We have Nick Johnson and Alex Akert joining us this morning. If you're watching online, we just switched to the view of the players and got off of our old ugly mugs. Guys, thanks for coming in this morning. Big win for you guys last night. Got to say, we just mentioned defense with Donnie here, but fourth quarter, I think it was 3 points y'all gave up over the last 6 minutes maybe. So felt like maybe the defensive emphasis was back on track. Does that sound fair?
Yes, sir. I think first half Lambert was kind of on us. We didn't play our best defensively, and then we really improved the second half.
Was that a focus for Coach Lambert over the last couple of days since the loss?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we've really been focusing on defense this year. We've tried to make sure the whole team's in it, make sure we're communicating on defense, and just trying our best to hold them to as little as we can.
When you've got that, we've talked about how it's become an emphasis around the area to what you can do defensively after we've seen what the Vols have been able to do the last few years. But it's not just staying there with your hands up. I mean, there's a whole lot that goes into playing that kind of defense. How do you work on it and put those kind of drills in place? What do you all have to work on? What do they put you through to try to improve a defensive play?
So recently in practice, and he's been trying to get this into our system, we do drills focusing on communication and just help side. And we're really trying to make sure that all of our players are talking to each other and doing their role so that our whole defense can succeed.
I think the most important part of defense is just like buying into the team, and it's mostly just effort. Like you can prepare for defense, but it's mostly just an effort thing. And so I think we've just been trying harder this year on the defense side of the ball.
And you mentioned one of the things I think is key to that good defensive alignment is having that help defense, so you know where not only that you know that help is coming, but you have that trust. You're not picking up a ticky-tack foul trying to stop something that somebody else is in a better position to do. How much of that is just trusting into everybody else on the team to do what they're supposed to be doing?
I think it's just you have to just, trust that your teammate's going to be there and help, and you have to communicate with them that you are there and that you're there to help them, and just take their man whenever they need help to guard them. Yeah.
So last night, and Donnie gave the score, it was 69-48. Close game at halftime, 35-33. You all come out in the third quarter and kind of make an emphasis statement, put on a big run. What was I'm assuming there was some halftime discussion to enliven the players from Coach Lambert possibly?
Yeah, so over halftime, he was just telling us that we have to put more pressure on their ball because we were giving them straight line drives to the basket, and we just had to force them out, force them sideline, and not let them get easy buckets anymore.
Yeah, I think on defense, that's what he said. And on offense, we were just talking about selfish shots and quick possessions and really making sure we reverse the ball and get good looks.
So when you've got those kind of – I mean, it's a district game, but it's also heritage. You know these guys. You play in some other teams. Y'all are on similar teams during the summer leagues and things like that. How big is it to get that win against them from the bragging rights perspective?
I mean, I think it's pretty fun. Me and their best player, Grant, we played on the same AAU team. So it's fun playing with him, guarding him, and going at it with him. And, I mean, yeah, bragging rights, it's good to have.
Yeah.
That doesn't enter social media at all by any stretch of the imagination, does it?
No, sir.
That's a great answer. It's just maybe on a text message.
Yeah.
So you talk a little bit about the loss and what did you all take out of that? Because it had to be, everybody had some hopes when you were playing Bearden. What was it like coming out of that game, middle of the week? Like, there was disappointment, but did you feel like you let one get away, or did you feel like you were playing like this was something else?
I think the Farragut game, it was an eye-opener for us. We were coming off we were coming off an 8-game win streak. We just beat Bearden. It was a big game for us. And we came into that game kind of thinking that we were the big guys and Farragut was the underdog, and we just let them take control of the game, and we just didn't finish it through.
We went up 14, I think, in the third quarter, and then I think we just got laps, and we didn't stick to our system, and that's really what resulted in the loss.
I can't. You all can't feel it, but I can feel Coach Edwards back here because it's Farragut, and he knows what those Farragut teams can do.
Yeah, I spent a few years over there. Yeah, Maryville was always a great basketball team. We played. Rodney Nelson was coaching over here, and they had an outstanding team. Took one of them to the state. And
it's always been. I mean, it's been a big rivalry going back a long ways, especially in this district where you all. I mean, it predates you guys, but y'all. This has been a district where Maryville, Farragut, and Bearden have pretty much been in the same district for going on 40 years almost.
Yeah.
So it's a rivalry that dates back. But you regrouped, and so where are you stand now? Because you've gotten that first win after that one. Where is the hunger? The hunger, I assume, is still there. That this is still a ways to go in the season.
Yes, sir. This week we have Hardin Valley and William Blount, so it's a big week for us. So we just got to come in and work, stay focused, and try and get 2 more district wins.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to not forget who we were last year. We had 2 district wins last year, so I think that really motivates us all season long.
When you've got those kind of opponents, I mean, they're both district games, but one of them's a rivalry game, and like we just mentioned, William Blount's in the polls, and then you've got the Hardin Valley team that just upset them. That makes for some interesting motivation for you guys. Has Coach Lambert brought that up yet, or do you all get the day to rest before you start thinking about Hardin Valley?
Yeah, he's telling us we can't sleep on Hardin Valley. They just beat William Blount. William Blount's going to be a huge game for us because we have Clemmer now. They're ranked. It's going to be a big game. But, yeah, he's telling us that we can't sleep through Hardin Valley before William Blount. We got to go out there, play our best, and beat them.
What's the I mean, you all set goals before the game, and you're coming off, like you said, based 2 wins in the district last year. But where do you all put the motivation of where do you want to be when we get district tournament time? Is it everybody wants to win a title, but are you happy if you're a 3 seed or a 2 seed?
Well, right now, if we get these 2 wins in a row, we're 1 seed. So that's what we want. We went to the 1 seed. We want to go to state. We want to win state. That's our final goal.
Sure.
I know somewhere some coaches just smiled saying that's the right answer. So what's been the most fun thing about this offseason? Because you've had the coaching, you've had the changing coaches, you've got some, what did we call Coach Lambert, the wise old owl stepping in to help out some. What has been the change in atmosphere from the players' perspective?
So this summer, it was a big difference. We went on some camps, and we went to an overnight camp, which we haven't done, and that was just really fun. We got some team bonding. And now we're taking buses to every away game, even to close ones like Heritage, just creating a culture like a good team, and we're just one big family.
Yeah, I think the culture is like a huge part of this year's team because we can just trust each other and bounce off each other and stuff like that.
And I guess a component of that is, you mentioned you've got Clemmer on the roster now. Bringing him in when y'all been playing against him in the past, how is he integrated into the team? How has that worked out?
I think he's integrated really good. He just fits in with all of us. He likes making jokes and all that, and he fits in quite well, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's weird because I've played against him since, 7th grade when I got here, and so it was weird at first, but it's great to have him on the team because he's a great player and a great guy.
Everybody likes you when you can put up 30 points. I don't know how that comes together, but it seems to always be easier when they can put up a good night, and that's what he put up last night if you're looking at the box score. Guys, we appreciate y'all coming in and visiting with us this morning. We wish you the best for surviving some more practices and putting that into the lighter experiences of getting on the court for a game. And we'll hope to have you back sometime and maybe talk a little bit about district tournament when those comes around.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Just one more thing.
Yeah.
Go Cats. Go Cats today.
Oh, I can't believe we let that on the air. Somebody hit that 5-second delay.
We've just run them through the ringer. I mean, when are they going to show up?
Hey, I think
we're waiting for them to show up.
we have the talent. I think we'll bounce back. Coach Cal will get us going. We'll get a couple wins in a row.
Bounce back.
I think we'll bounce back.
Bounce somewhere, but it's not going to be back.
Oscar Sheba will bounce back.
Hey, both of you going over there?
No, sir. No, sir.
You're not. Neither one of us going over to the game.
No, sir.
Oh, and are you a Tennessee fan or are you a Kentucky fan?
Vols by 90.
Vols by 90. Well,
I like that pick a whole lot better.
We'll just go ahead and get your take right here. What's Kentucky have to do today to stay in the game? I'm not even talking about winning. I'm talking about staying in the game.
I think the defense has just been a huge part of their problems. I think they don't play hard on defense. They don't talk. I think their team chemistry isn't very good right now. There seems like selfish shots, bad offensive possessions. But I think they'll get it going. I think a couple good practices under Coach Cal. I think we can turn it around.
Yeah. Well, what about him thinking about going to Texas and all that talk?
I think it's just a rumor. I feel like every other year something gets stirred up with Coach Cal going somewhere else. And
yeah.
I think next year we got the best recruiting class in the
And what
country.
did you think about the guy that got thrown out of the arena last week with the sign?
I think you should have just taken a sign, let him stay in the arena. I think
that's
too
hard. This got to stick around the rest of the show. We'll just go ahead and
Can we trade them Troy for him?
I think so. I'm telling you, I can't believe it that I've got a Kentucky guy right here in the heart of Big Orange Country talking basketball here. How long you been a Kentucky fan?
Since I was a little kid, my grandpa was always a Kentucky fan, so I just
so you just kind of followed in the family tradition. Well, who do they play after today?
I don't remember. I've just been locked in on this Tennessee game.
Oh.
I know.
Just like everybody else.
I'll be hearing a lot about it if we lose today.
Okay. Well, I hope you survive the day. As for you, what are you going to do to celebrate after about 2 o'clock this afternoon?
You know, I'm just going to be talking to him after the game.
Hey, great to have both of you on.
Thank you.
And good luck next week because you got 2 heavyweights next week. Big
Thank
week
you.
for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, we'll take a timeout here. When we return, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo-Herod announces the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service.
This holiday season, we're grateful for another year of helping you, our members, grow financially. Thank you for choosing us and for allowing us to serve you and help you live better lives. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from all of us at Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union. We look forward to serving you in 2023.
Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union. Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week. And this is a segment that has been Troy Provo-Herron's segment, Donnie, but Troy is going to be on and off with us this last half of the year because he's going to be working on his master's degree on some Saturdays.
Yeah.
So as a result of that,
we're going to turn that over to
Marcus,
our good friend Marcus Fitzsimmons.
Next man up, you know.
That's right.
That is not just on the court, but that is on the air as well.
On the air.
So, you know, I've got the video box and all the issues with that in mind this morning.
It's like Tennessee basketball. It's good to be deep, Marcus. You know what I'm saying? Where you can count on somebody, huh?
I guess I'm going to have to teach Ray how to use this thing because, if I foul out, we got to have somebody willing to come in and take my spot here.
True that.
But Troy did do a good job lining up some guests this morning. We just had Maryville.
Thanks, Troy.
We're transitioning over now for Player of the Week segment, and we have Javin Carter and Brady Hahn joining us from Alcoa Boys Basketball. Guys, thanks for getting up and coming in this morning. And I got to think you got to be tired. It's been last 36 hours you played number 4, beating Fulton, 81-69 on Thursday night. You played Pigeon Forge, got the 70-45 win last night. And now I know you all are trying to get out and get over to the arena before it gets really busy over there. Man. So we appreciate y'all coming in. And let me start with the Fulton win because that was such a high point for you guys. They're state ranked, they're on a roll, and you didn't seem to let that phase you in the least. What was clicking for you guys against them?
I feel like we beat GP the week before, big district win, and we've been practicing hard and everything. Feel like it's just been clicking. We've been trusting each other. So when it came time to play Fulton, we know they're a good team. They beat us at their place by like 9, so we just knew we had to get the dub, and it just felt good when we got it.
Me personally, I think we got the football players back and we beat GP. I feel like that was a big confidence boost for us when we came into that game, knowing that if we rebound, we got a good chance to win, and we won.
Coaches are never happy, and you've got a coach that's always going to find something that you all need to improve on. What was the emphasis going into Fulton? What were you all looking to do against Fulton?
We know, like, Fulton, they going to be gritty and tough, so, like, our main focus was if we play defense, we rebound. If we rebound more than them and play defense, we should come out victorious.
And how did you feel like you got the win, but how did you feel like you did in those categories against them?
I feel like the first quarter we didn't rebound as good. Probably really the first half we turned the ball over a lot, but we kept it close in the first half. So I think we were up maybe down by 2. But so in the second half we came out, we kicked them on the boards and didn't turn the ball over, and we took off.
Usually that involves something being said at halftime, Brady, when you all make that kind of adjustment. What did Coach have to say to you guys at the halftime of the Fulton game?
We came into halftime, and we really didn't have a bad second quarter. It was just the first quarter that had us down after the first quarter. So he was just telling us to keep playing how we're playing, just crash the boards harder, and we did.
Is that something that's an emphasis in practice as far as getting those rebounds and not giving them those second chance points?
It's something we talk about every day.
Is it something that involves running in practice?
Most of the time, yeah.
It's good for you. It makes you feel better at heart when you get on there on the fourth quarter. And as much effort as y'all put out there, and it was a great win, what y'all did in the second half to get the win. You have to turn around the next night, and you have to play another district game. It's Pigeon Forge. Were y'all flat when you came out? Was there any hangover from getting a win the night before and putting out that much energy?
I think it's hard to play back-to-back games and get 2 dubs in a row, but we needed that one last night, and we did come out flat. We didn't play a good game, but we ended up getting the win, so that's all that matters.
What you don't have a lot of time to scout a team when you're playing the next night. You don't have a practice in between. You've basically got the warm-up. How did you all kind of prepare to play the back-to-back games? Was it something where you were looked at both teams on Wednesday, or was it something where you just had to turn around and play Pigeon Forge?
It's something like we just had to turn around and play Pigeon Forge. I mean, Coach, of course, got the scout, and we know each player. We know what they all can do. We know who come off the bench, but it's like one of them things where we just got to show up and take care of business. It's a district game. We got to get it done.
And where do y'all feel you stand in the district now? Where you've got a little bit of a sense. You haven't gotten quite to that point where you're closing in on the end, but you've got a little bit of a sense of feeling about the district now. Is real possibility are y'all shooting for the number 1 seed? Do you see yourselves able to win that?
I feel like if we keep building on what we got right now, we're definitely going to be on top.
And what's the biggest thing standing in your way in your minds on what's left on your schedule that the must-win game you've got?
GP.
Yeah,
we got to beat GP again. Because right now we 3-0 in the standings. We first right now, but we got to play them again. It's always the toughest game in our district.
And I know if Coach was here, he would say the one that matters is the third time y'all are probably going to play. Mm-hmm. But he's not going to tell you all that until after you play him again.
Yeah.
When you know that's a possibility, I mean, how much of what you're doing, are you holding something back? Like, are you going to put everything out there the next time you see GP, or is it going to be like, well, maybe I'm not going to try that particular move this time? let it sit for a game. Is there any of that caginess going on?
I don't think so. I think I just want to win.
I feel like we gonna play them the same every time. Like, we know we got to play hard. We got to play defense, really. Play defense. They got 2 good guards that can score it. So if we feel like if we can stop them from getting what they usually get, then we can get the dub.
We were talking, you saw the Maryville guys were up here just before y'all came on. We were talking to them about the emphasis on defense. And how does Alcoa work on that? Because we were talking about, like, there's only so many drills you can run defensively, and so much of it comes down to trusting your help and being able to talk and communicate. How do you work on those sort of things in a practice situation to get ready and improve your defense?
Normally, every practice we start off with multiple defensive segments, and then we just compete throughout the practice. While we work on our offense, we're constantly working on our defense as well. So, I mean, it just kind of comes with practice.
Is it something where if you feel like you can shut down each other, that you've got a leg up when it comes to the game is a little bit easier? Because you've got some scorers on this team.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of different, though, because, like, we'll play a full end. We'll have to, like, be more in the gap. We'll help each other a lot. But, like, if we play in, like, a pigeon forge, we'll, like, pressure a lot and deny the ball. Like, so we got to switch a lot. It's, like, a lot of just going in the film and watching a lot. It just depends on how we'll play defense or on who we playing.
So you get a little bit of a break today. You got to turn around for next week. What does next week look like for you guys as far as who have you got coming up, and is it something you got circled?
I think we got Sevier County away and Union County away. We got to beat Union County. It's a district game.
Mm-hmm. And the Smoky Bears are one of those sneaky teams. It's not a district game for you guys, but they're ones that can be on and off on some nights and can play really well and be off on others.
Yep.
Well, guys, we wish you the best of luck. We'll cut a little bit short because we know you got to get in the car and get to the arena before traffic gets too bad on Alcoa Highway. But we appreciate you guys coming in. And you know what? After we get district tournaments, see if we can get you back in here and talk a little bit longer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Mike, let's go ahead and turn the page.
You guys going to the game?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you want us to sell your tickets? We're on the air right here. We can get you some good money for your tickets. You want to go ahead
We can't scout. That's against the law.
You want to get rid
Mike.
of those, huh?
That's against we got to sell them through UT Ticket app. You can't just sell them on the air
Coach
anymore.
Trail, they're out of here. They're not interested in selling those tickets. They're going to the game.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Time for a break, and when we return, it's Sports Headlines with Donnie Moore in the Tennessee Smoky Spotlight. You're listening to the GoTee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply.
Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
This holiday season, we're grateful for another year of helping you, our members, grow financially. Thank you for choosing us and for allowing us to serve you and help you live better lives. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from all of us at Knoxville TBA Employees Credit Union. We look forward to serving you in 2023.
Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union.
Federally insured by NCUA.
The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service. For over 50.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards, and it's time for this week's sports headlines. And Donnie Moore, it's been a lively show. Kentucky will do that to you, won't they?
They sure will.
Yeah.
We've had some unique things happen here today, haven't we?
I know it. The ghosts are flying around in here.
I'm telling you, yeah.
Huh?
They've made it over here to Blue Tick.
Yeah.
Well, this is an old building. It's got a lot of history.
Yeah, no doubt.
Ghosts
I
come
wouldn't
around.
tell you, weird things happening here
Yeah.
today. Oh, well, let's get to our headlines here today, our sports headlines. Lead story. Lead story's been the same lead that's happened here for the last couple of weeks. Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin was discharged on Wednesday from Buffalo General Hospital and will continue his rehab from home. Hamlin will be placed on injured reserve for the remainder of the season, but instead of being paid at a lower rate, the Bills reached an agreement with the league and the NFL Players Association to pay him in full, NFL Network reported on Sunday. Hamlin's quick recovery so far from his cardiac arrest during Week 17's game against the Cincinnati Bengals has been nothing short of miraculous.
Yep.
It
I
has.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, you can't argue that. Well, the NFL All-Pro lists were announced this week, and though the Pro Bowl is no more, it's only a flag football game now. You believe that?
Lonnie
playing
liked
flag
that.
football.
He thought all of college sports and pro sports was going to go to flag football, and
Yep.
Playing flag football.
They're
in
on
the
their
NFL.
way, I think.
don't have to worry about targeting as much.
No.
That's true. But although it's only a flag football game now, it's still an honor to be named All-Pro because it is the players who vote on the lists. That being said, 2 former Vols made the cut this season. Voted All-Pro for 2022 are Titans long snapper Morgan Cox and Falcons running back and kick returner Cordero Patterson. Congratulations to those 2.
And let's kick in. You know, this format's going to be with you get drafted by either Peyton or Eli to play
Right.
to play on
the flag
to
football.
play on the flag football
Yeah.
team. The question I keep coming back to is, you know, if we're going to use former quarterbacks and greats, is Tom Brady likely to be a player or a coach next season?
Not sure. That's a good question.
He
Well-
said he was going to play again.
He did, yeah. He's you never
He
know.
said he was going to play
He
again.
did, yeah. What is he, about 49 now, 40, 50?
Well,
He's getting close, isn't
what is it? He
know.
gets $40 million if he plays next
he?
season.
Oh, boy.
Well, he needs it now that he's out dating. You know,
He does, yeah. Well, guys,
he needs a little more money
yeah.
than he was getting.
he
there.
does. Yeah, his wife doesn't have enough. His ex-wife.
Yeah.
she made more than he did.
And you're
Yeah.
right, she did. Well, South Carolina quarterback Spencer Rattler announced Tuesday he will return to play for the Gamecocks in 2023 instead of declaring for the NFL draft. Rattler threw for 3,026 yards and 18 touchdowns and ran for 3 touchdowns in 2022. Had the number 6 completion percentage at 66.17% and was number 9 in the SEC in quarterback rating. And he'll be a Gamecock again next year.
Well, you said it right there with that last one. Number 9 in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
That means there's 8 quarterbacks just in his conference that have a better rating than you did.
Exactly.
Yeah. But he's still a better quarterback than that graduate assistant they were playing the year before.
Oh, God.
Huh?
True
I
that.
agree with that. I mean,
They still won a bowl game the year before and had a winning record, and this year they finished 8-5 with the victory over Tennessee, and of course Notre Dame beat them in the bowl game. Exciting game.
We had to mention that Notre Dame thing, didn't we?
We really did. They finished 9-4. You know, after starting 1-3, they recovered pretty well. 9-4. But anyhow, and Beamer got a big raise over there. They're happy with.
He went up $4 million.
Yeah,
and they trolled both the Vols and the Tigers and trolled it, and they sent a big banner over the games. Enjoy the game.
Yeah. Well, that's what that win over Tennessee did for him right there. Put a lot of money in his pockets.
But I think for Donnie's headline is. I know that they're making a big deal out of it, but when you look at the other quarterbacks that are coming out, and you look at what he did, I mean, somebody basically had to have told him, "Look, you didn't do anything to impress the scouts this year until the very end,
right?
And you got another year.
You'll get drafted.
Next year's class is not going to be as deep."
I tell you what, I saw Spencer Rattler. It just looked to me like when everything was going well in the game, he was pretty tough.
Yeah.
But when it came to nut cracking time, you know, like in the Notre Dame game and then in some other games, it just, you know, he had a tendency to, you know.
It's just like what everybody says.
I mean, that
He's
Notre
a front
Dame
runner.
game there when he needed a drive there at the end, I mean, he was hitting guys in the ankles.
Yeah.
You know, wide open guys right in the ankles. So, but I'll tell you, if he can play like he played against Tennessee next year,
or Clemson.
Glad you're back.
Yeah.
True. Well, it's a wait and see thing.
You don't know what you're going to get.
No, you don't.
Well,
he's like a box of chocolates.
He seems to play a whole lot better when you tell him that he's got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
It was because he wasn't worried. They had nothing to worry about against Tennessee and Clemson because they were such underdogs. But you gave them when they were like they have a chance against Notre Dame and they can play with Notre Dame. It was right back to getting nervous and making dumb decisions.
True.
Yeah, but you know the good thing, he's got Beamer over there, and Beamer's a pretty level-headed guy.
Yeah.
If he's got Brian Kelly over there, he's got Saban over there, or he's got Kirby. It may not be as pleasant for him. You know?
It probably won't be.
But Beamer's a little, you know, it's a good coach for him, really.
You know, we talked a little bit about the national championship game. Well, get these facts here. Monday's 65-7 manhandling of Texas Christian University by the University of Georgia was the lowest rated broadcast in terms of total number of viewers of any college football championship game in the BCS or college or CFP era. How many viewers, you ask? Only 17.2 million viewers, and that's not many.
Well, I
for
tell
a
you
national
what,
championship game.
it was. If you watch the first quarter, most people turned it off.
Exactly.
I mean, it looked like a man playing with kids. You know, I mean, why would my brother talked to me yesterday, and I mean, he's in Arkansas. He said, I didn't see all that game. He said, after it got 40 to something, I turned it off.
Plus, they had it on a Monday night when everybody had to get up and go to work the next day.
Yeah, I don't know why
that's been a problem.
It has been.
At least they moved it up. They made
right. They didn't have it at 9 o'clock.
I think
Kickoff at 9 o'clock.
I think somebody finally realized we don't need to accommodate the West Coast.
There's your deal right there.
The Pac-12 has not been a factor in this thing for years, so catering to the West Coast market is just not a smart thing.
I agree, Marcus.
So I'm glad they've done that. But this year, you know, having the New Year's Day mess up because it was January 1st, fell on a Sunday, and having to reschedule the bowl games, and the way the calendar fell, it was just bad timing to begin with. But then you have to watch that game so long for it to count as a viewer. And like Ray said, everybody turned it off because
exactly.
I mean, I didn't make it through the end of the second quarter before I was bored.
I didn't either.
Well, most people turned it off. I mean, it was obviously a mismatch.
Click.
And it was the exact opposite of what we've gotten used to, which is blowout semifinals and then a real close final. This was the exact opposite.
This was the exact.
The only reason I kept watching it is I was afraid that some TCU players were going to get hurt, and I didn't want to see them get hurt before the game was over because it was bad.
Well, if they got hurt, it was because Georgia hurt them because they sure didn't hurt themselves. I'll tell you that right now.
And that poor coach Dykes had to sit over and watch all that.
He did.
Yeah.
That was misery.
But he looked that quarterback up, that quarterback for Georgia. He looked him up after the game and went and shook his hand.
Yeah, that was classy.
I thought that was really.
That was classy. It was. Yeah. Well, former Atlanta Braves general manager John Coppolella has been reinstated by Major League Baseball after serving more than 5 years of a suspension that was originally announced as permanent. The suspension was handed down for circumventing international signing rules from 2015 to 2017. They had originally told him this is a permanent suspension. You will not be reinstated at all, but he served about 5 years of it. And they let him back in the league.
Now, what is that, what you're talking about?
Well, international signing rules. The way I understand it was he took some signing money for players that were obtained from other countries. He took some money and gave it to some other players, from other countries that weren't supposed to have it.
There's a very intricate system that is in place to keep basically MLB from just raiding the rest of the continent for players.
Yeah.
So that their own leagues and farm clubs don't collapse. And he violated it. And I think what's happened is now I won't say it's been
advantageous
disproven.
to the Braves.
I won't say it's been disproven, but there's some other things that have happened that lead you to think maybe this wasn't as bad as it originally sounded, because some of those rules have had to adapt, and some of those places things happened are questionable as to what the actual story was.
So, in other words, they've decided that his crime
was not as bad
as they thought it was. So he said, "Well, okay, you can come back."
I just don't think they're going to put him on the circuit to sign players from other countries for a while. But he'll still be. I think he might find his way back into baseball with somebody.
I'd say he will at one level or another. Mike, this is Formula One news. The FIA, and I'm not sure what that stands for, but Formula One has adopted a rule change for the 2023 season that prohibits Formula One teams and drivers from making, quote, political statements at race events. The FIA had previously seen drivers such as Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel attempt to raise awareness on social justice issues such as climate change and ethnic diversity. Now this is a quote from their stand right here. Personal statements must now reflect the principle of neutrality promoted by the FIA under its statutes, unless previously approved in writing by the FIA for international competitions.
And what's the punishment if they don't follow that?
Well, they did not cover that.
That's why it doesn't hold water.
There'll be a monetary fine. They just want they want it out
I'm
there.
Sure it will.
And it comes down to they're in a position they can't afford to offend any sponsors that they have left at this point.
Exactly. Now Vettel's already retired, so that won't affect him. Right. But Hamilton's, of course, still is racing, still driving. But that covers teams, pit crews, drivers, anybody when they're making
it's aimed at
public
drivers
statements.
and owners.
Yeah, drivers and owners basically.
Some of what has come up has created sponsor issues, but they've also got the thing where you're going around the world with these races.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when you start getting into that kind of arena, literally, when you start making statements about what such and such country is doing, and then you have to race there in 6 weeks, it creates a real problem for everybody, because what if they don't let that driver in the country because of what he said 6 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Coach Trail, that's sort of like being a NASCAR driver and going to Chicago and talking about anti-guns. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to go there.
I know. No, I agree with that 100%.
I also heard that Formula One is starting to partner up with GM, or GM is wanting to partner with Formula One and get a couple of Cadillac Formula One cars. So who knows? They're trying to anyway.
What does that even look like?
I don't know.
A Caddy? Well, it's got 4 doors and leather seats and an XM radios.
Does a chauffeur drive that for the like? You have the owner ride in back and the driver's driving in the front.
I guess that's what I was fixing to say.
Of course it does. Caddy engines, of course. One more item. Kevin Harvick has announced that 2023 will be his final season as a full-time driver on the Cup circuit. His 60 career wins are tied for 9th on the all-time victory list. Breaking into NASCAR in 2001, Harvick won a Cup championship in 2014, as well as 2 Xfinity championships in 2001 and 2006.
Yeah, well, he'll be missed.
He sure will.
Kyle Larson going to do the double. He's going to run Indianapolis
Good.
and Charlotte. So he's got 500 miles ahead of him in Indianapolis if his car holds up, and then he's going to get on a plane and go to Charlotte, and he's going to run 600 miles a NASCAR race all in the same day, 1,100 miles. Of course, there's been several drivers that have done that, but listen, he's not with a fluke team either. He's got to ride with Arrow, which is one of the better IndyCar teams. So I would like to see them put the Indy 500 and the Charlotte 600 on different days to where the drivers could go to Indianapolis and race, and if there's any Indianapolis drivers that want to go race at Charlotte, they could race there, kind of make it an all-star deal.
That's brutal. That's brutal to do it.
If you're a racing fan and you get exhausted just trying to watch both races from start to finish because you're talking about, 11 straight hours?
Yeah, it's brutal.
I mean, but if you're exhausted watching it, imagine trying to – you can't ask anybody to drive that anymore if they can get there.
And that's the greatest day in auto racing because they have the Monaco Grand Prix Formula One race as you get up in the morning. So you got Formula One, Indy 500, Charlotte 600.
If you want to watch racing that day, you're in hog heaven.
That's it. Put on the hamburgers and hot dogs and homemade ice cream.
I liked it when
Turn on the TV.
I liked it when they spaced them through.
Leave it on all day long.
Yeah.
And you had you could do 1, 1, 1, and it wasn't all just running consecutively together. Because then what are you going to do on Monday?
Yeah.
After watching all that, you get up, you go round and round in the house, round and round. You get out of the bed.
That's a big step for IndyCar right there because Kyle Larson is a fantastic driver.
He sure is.
This guy is very talented.
He's talented.
And Robin Miller, who worked for the broadcast of the IndyCar race, he thought that Kyle Larson would really do well at Indianapolis. Of course, Robin has passed, but here he is. He's made the decision. He's going to be there. So that's going to be a great story.
Good deal. Well, that's all for this week's sports headlines. Now let's focus on the Tennessee Smokies Spotlight. Back to you, Gunnar.
All righty, let's go with it. We mentioned a little bit about the Georgia TCU championship game the other night and how disappointing it was. Georgia went in as a 13.5-point favorite, but they rolled 65-7.
Was that for the first quarter? They were 13.5-point favorite.
If it's a prize fight, they'd have stopped that deal. But Coach Trail, was Georgia just that good, or did TCU just give up the ship after they just didn't look like there was going to be any recovery?
TCU, I tell you what, that was the dumbest coaching job I've ever seen. You come out against a team like Georgia and run with the 3-man front. 3 men down.
Never going to get to Bennett like that.
My God, you're not going to get nothing like that. And they got 5 of these huge offensive linemen up there blocking these little 3 guys.
And they're going to run on you all day.
God dang, they'll run it, throw it, whatever.
They want to do.
You can't get to the quarterback. No. You know, that was the dumbest setup I've ever seen. I mean, you know, if I'd have been playing Georgia, I'd have had a 6-man line up there. And I'd have said, you know, you're going to have to throw it.
Throw it, yeah.
You're not going to run it.
Right.
But,
well, they were getting 7, 8 yards a carry. When you get 7, 8 yards a carry, you got a lot of options on second down.
7 or 8 yards a carry. They were averaging 11 yards a play in the first half.
If there is a third down.
11 yards a play. Yeah. I mean, if the guy hadn't stumbled a couple of times and fell, that'd have been 70-yard runs.
I don't think that 3-5-3 defense works very well against an SEC team.
Golly.
And now you've got to adjust that 5, and you've got to have some guys in that 5 that are big and fast that can play it as a down lineman.
They just vastly underestimated the SEC.
Right man.
Coach Trail, you know, a lot of the spotlight was on Stetson Bennett, and rightfully so. He had a great game.
Right.
But listen, can't say enough about Georgia's defense.
Oh.
You know, they weren't supposed to be a great defensive team. They lost their coordinator. I think he went to Oregon.
Yeah.
And they just didn't think they were going to have
5 guys in the NFL.
That defense looked as good. Yeah. That championship game was any defense I've seen the last couple of years. I mean, they showed up.
And they showed up, and I tell you what, they were taking that offensive line and just pushing it. I mean,
and they were scary because 2 of those huge plays were freshmen.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like that group that just graduated and went to the NFL. Some of these guys the bulk of them are freshmen and sophomores.
Man alive.
Yeah. They're going to be around this league for a year or 2.
Well, I thought about this. Uga, the mascot dog, he didn't make the trip. If he had made the trip, imagine what it'd been. You know, 80-7, 85-7.
Oh yeah, it would have been that score at the half.
And he wouldn't have had to worry about any heart problems because that game was over in the first 3 or 4 minutes. He could have just
turned the fan on, put him in his house.
They were probably afraid he'd eat
that.
They were probably afraid he'd eat that frog or something during halftime.
Yeah, get sick.
Yeah.
Hey,
that was absolutely the worst mismatch game I've ever seen.
I've been meaning to bring this up, but you know, before the playoffs started and everything, former UT quarterback Eric Ainge on his show over in Knoxville called Stetson Bennett a punk, you know, on his radio show, and I'll tell you what, Coach Trail.
Can you be a punk at 30?
I'll take that punk any day of the week.
Sure you can.
You know, I tell you what, and another thing that really irritated me is they came out and they said he was a lower first round or high second round draft pick. You know, and I'm thinking they had the guy from Ohio State, 1 or 2. They had the guy from Southern Cal, and you know, I'm thinking, you know, these guys sat at home and watched the game. You know, why are they thinking they're so great?
Because if you look at him, I mean, when you draft him, you know, you draft a guy from Ohio State, he's only 22, so you're going to get a full career out of him.
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett's like 35. I mean, you're going to get
25. He's 25.
You get 4 seasons, and then he's going to have to retire.
He's 25.
Yeah.
He's never going to get to a second contract.
I'm just saying that he's a more complete. To me, I'd rather have him than some of these guys they got up there that's not worth it.
Well, he can rent a car. I mean, that's more than most.
You got to hand it to him. Listen, he won a national championship last year, and he could have jumped ship and said, "Hey, I got my national championship, and I got all my publicity.
Right.
I think I'll just head on out here." But he came back, and he won a second national championship. And so here's my question: If you were voting for the Heisman Trophy right now, after what he's done all year in 2 years and also this year, and have won 2 national championships, who you going to vote for right now?
I
Coach
vote
Trail?
for him.
You're absolutely right.
Right. I mean, that's what I can't understand.
And I know if Troy was here, he'd be all over me about that.
Yeah.
But listen, I don't see how you could deny him.
I don't either. I mean,
Marcus,
I don't
jump in there.
understand it. What is he? He was
let's just say the
undefeated
Heisman,
2 years.
Yeah.
Lost one game, I guess.
The Heisman is about the regular season. That's what it's not supposed to factor in anything after the regular season.
Yeah.
I don't think it should even factor in conference championship games.
Well, then
the
national championship goes beyond the regular season.
That's why I don't think it should be factored into voting.
Why can't the Heisman Trophy go beyond the regular season?
Well, you'd have to move when they vote because they start voting in October.
I guess.
I wonder about that because a lot of those votes, I forgot how many they said, but it was a measurable percentage were cast before Halloween.
Yeah. Donnie, are we looking at Georgia and a dynasty with Kirby Smart? Are the days of Nick Saban down at Alabama, or is he off the throne now, or he's just taking some time out?
Well, I hate to count Saban out because Saban's a good football coach, and he still recruits well. But I think Georgia's right on the even par with Saban now. And I think Kirby Smart.
Would you like to go on and been on the halftime show and been the one who was talking about how Georgia was now the premier of the SEC while Nick Saban sitting
right next to him? I could just feel.
Did y'all see that?
I could just feel the daggers coming out of Saban's eyes.
They got Saban on there for that pregame and halftime show, and then they're going to sit there and talk right next to him about how Georgia's now the team to beat in the SEC.
Yeah.
I tell you what. No kidding, that quarterback Georgia put in there at the end looked true freshman.
He looked pretty good too.
Wow,
He didn't look like he was too awestruck by the whole deal, did he?
I tell you what, he went out there and executed as well as anybody.
Yeah.
And he's just a freshman.
But when you look at Alabama, they've got to replace Bryce Young, and the quarterback we saw who filled in when he was hurt, and I've forgotten his name. I mean, it looks like it's going to be an open competition with the five-star they've got signed and that backup. And then you've got some guys on that defense that are going to the NFL that good luck replacing them because as a unit they were not as good as Georgia, but as some of the star quality,
they may have trouble.
You're going to have some big holes to fill.
Yeah. Let's talk about next year. Because I'm already ready to just count everybody out of the SEC East right now. I mean, I just put them rest of them teams in a bag and let them play. That SEC race next year, the way I see it, with what's coming back, is Georgia and Tennessee.
Yeah.
If Tennessee wants to go on to the next level, they're going to have to beat Georgia, and they're going to have to beat Georgia right over here in Neyland Stadium next year. That's it's all going to boil down to that game. So, fans, if you've got money – and you don't want to buy your season tickets, save it up and get one off a scalper because that's the game. Yep. I've looked at both of these schedules. Tennessee's non-conference schedule is Virginia, Austin Peay, UTEP, and UConn. They got Texas A&M at home. They lost 27 in the transfer portal. They got Florida down there. Florida lost 22 in the transfer portal. I'm telling you, they got Alabama at Alabama. That game right there is going to be their tough one down there. That's going to be the only game, and the Georgia game that they may not be favored in, but they got Georgia at home, and even if they lose at Alabama, I can't see Georgia losing. Georgia's non-conference schedule is UT Martin, Ball State, UAB, and Georgia Tech, and they're playing Auburn from over in the other side. That's not Alabama. That's not LSU. That's that's Auburn
with a new
regrouping.
But
Auburn.
You've got a coach that is going to make an immediate change at Auburn.
Okay, if Tennessee's not going to slip up more than one time, if Georgia slips up, they're not going to slip up more than one time. It's going to be decided right over here in Knoxville. Next year. So.
That's the way it goes.
Get your gloves on and get ready to tear the goalpost down if it comes to that, because that's what it's going to boil down to. Does anybody see it any differently?
When is that game being played?
It's like the last game of the season.
That's what's going to hurt Tennessee. It'd be better if they were going to play that game. It'd be better in September because they got no time to climb back up the polls after they lose that one.
Well,
that's true. It's late next year. Hey, I saw where Texas San Antonio's ranked preseason. The ranking is like 22 next year. So, don't we play Texas San Antonio next year?
We play Texas El Paso.
Texas El Paso.
I was thinking Texas UTSA.
I thought it was Texas San Antonio.
They make some in there.
But
somewhere down there.
But be glad we're in the East because
Texas El Paso. That's who they play. Texas
the West
El Paso.
The West is. I mean, look at that. When you've got LSU who's bringing back a ton. Alabama's going to be Alabama. Auburn with the new coach. I do not think it's going to take him long with the transfer portal to get Auburn turned around. Ole Miss is already looking with what they've got coming in the transfer portal to be reloading. Arkansas is still going to be good. I mean, the only question mark you've got over there is how well they're going to translate the air raid without Leach. That's the only question mark on the West.
Yeah. No, it's Texas San Antonio.
Okay.
So it's a number 22 on Tennessee's schedule.
Okay.
Yep, September 23rd.
Okay.
At Neyland Stadium.
Okay.
I saw where they're ranked 22 in the preseason poll.
Well, we'll beat them 3 touchdowns instead of maybe
we should.
6.
Yeah, it's just 3 touchdowns instead of 6.
Or maybe that'll get the letdown over early with.
Right before we play South
Carolina
Carolina and then Texas A&M and Alabama. Whoo.
Yeah.
Boy.
Well, Coach Trail, I'm just saying, the SEC East is a good place to be.
Oh, yeah.
The SEC West is just going to be strong again, and there's going to be some beating up of teams among each others over there, but I can't see it over in the East. Tennessee's going to be a heavy favorite in 10 of those 12 games that they play next year. Heavy. And so it's –
well, if they don't slip up again like they did with South Carolina last year, I don't know. Tennessee lost a lot of players too, and what they are going to replace their quarterback with, I don't know. They got the guy coming in from California, big-time freshman, but who knows what he's going to do?
Yeah.
And they got a lot of Tennessee's got a lot of changes too.
Yeah.
And it's going to be good to see what they do. I mean, I want to see. Then you can tell what kind of coach you got, because a lot of the players that he played with this year were players that were left over from the regime before.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about this before we went on the air. You've seen the 4 non-conference games that Georgia plays.
Yeah.
You see the 4 non-conference games Tennessee plays.
Yeah.
Is that an advantage for SEC teams opposed to teams in maybe some other leagues that maybe play 1 or 2, teams that, aren't so-called Power 5
they better enjoy
conference
it.
teams? Does it give them an edge going into their championship games if they go on into the playoffs and so forth?
I don't think so.
Somebody else?
I don't think so. I think that by playing some good teams, 1 or 2 good teams early, it puts your team preparing differently.
Yeah.
When they look at the schedule,
yeah.
I mean, instead of running more, they say, well, I got time to get in shape after I get there. We're not playing anybody.
If Texas El Paso is going to be 22nd, as Donnie said, going into the season.
Right.
And if Brigham Young had remained on the schedule, you would have had a respectable non-conference schedule. You'd go out to Brigham Young. That'd be a good game to win out there. And then a team ranked 22nd, that'd be a good win for you. But the way it is right now, it doesn't look like there's anything in them 4 that's going to help you in the polls anywhere.
Well, like I said, as a coach, I hated playing those games.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's hard to motivate your kids to play them. It's hard to motivate your kids for the off season and during the off season that they work and prepare and get ready for the next season, because they look at it and say, well, we ain't playing. We get in shape after we get there.
Yep.
And I always like playing a good team early. It makes your players work harder and get ready for the year.
Hey, the final poll, AP poll, had Georgia number 1, TCU number 2, Michigan 3, Ohio State 4, Alabama 5, Tennessee 6, Penn State 7, Washington 8, Tulane with their big win over Southern Cal 9th, and Utah 10th. Marcus, are you a little bit surprised that TCU stepped in there at 2nd after getting beat so bad? Should they have dropped them down a little bit or not?
I was thinking it's pretty much, isn't it a guarantee that if you go, it's going to be 1-2 in the final poll? Isn't that the way the rules were written? I may be wrong.
I
know at one point it was written that way that if you went to the title game, you had to finish 1-2.
Well, if it were me and I was voting, the way Ohio State played against Georgia, because they pretty well
I'd rather
beat
have Ohio
themselves,
State
I would
there.
say Georgia, Ohio State, and then
That's
if you wanted to put TCU ahead of Michigan because they beat them, maybe that. And
that's what I'd have done too.
But Alabama and Tennessee both showed real well in their bowl game, and a team that was really under the radar most of the season was Penn State.
Yeah.
They finished 11-2 with their only losses to Ohio State and Michigan. They pretty good football team.
Oh, they were.
Coach A, they went out there and just put it on Utah.
I don't.
In the Rose Bowl.
I disagree with that. Anybody can put. That must be the rule because you wouldn't put TCU there. You get beat 62-8 to 7. My gosh.
I'd probably put Georgia, Ohio State. I don't want to make any Tennessee fans mad, but I think I'd move Alabama up there to 3.
Yeah.
And Tennessee could argue that maybe 4.
Yeah.
I
agree with that.
I
agree. I think that would be
I
good.
just
But
I think that was arguable.
I thought Michigan looked awful, and TCU was terrible.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would have to say that's a mess up there.
Yeah, I think there was.
That
some
must
question.
be the rule, though.
Must be.
It's got to be.
Marcus thought it was the rule.
Of
course, they go on the season. They were conference champs, and they got there, and so
they
forth
go
and so on.
in the voting, and there's probably a good reason I was never an AP poll voter.
I guess. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, the panel presents their Shelter Insurance Gold Bowl predictions. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Bowl predictions.
Yeah.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at StevensonTire.net.
Your newspaper, that's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today: call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
We're back on the sports page, and we don't have bowl predictions, Donnie Moore. We got bold.
We got bold.
I got my tongue tied there a little bit.
That's right. Bold predictions.
Before we get into what we're going to do here with this is I want to mention that Eric Berry, former UT football player, defensive back, holds the SEC record for most interceptions. He's going into the Football Hall of Fame, and He broke a guy's record, Bobby Wilson. He played at Ole Miss. Bobby was a baseball coach at Carson Newman. Back in the day when I was up there as assistant basketball coach. I don't know if you played against Bobby at Ole Miss, but he had the record before Eric Barrett broke it and held it for a long time of interceptions. Yeah, a super nice guy. Nice guy. Bobby Wilson, great guy. And
Eric's a great guy too.
Yeah, that's well deserved. And Roy Kramer, Kramer that was on our show when Bob Gilbert was when Bob had it, is going into the College Football Hall of Fame as a coach. He's the former athletic director at Vanderbilt and founded the BCS, and 93 years old, coached at Central Michigan from 1967 to 77.
Central Michigan.
And he was 83-32-2 there, and on the high school level, he was 58-14-3. He had one NCAA Division II championship in 1974. Roy's a Blount County native, and Coach Trail, my wife and I'd see him every once in a while up at Becky's, and I'd tell my wife, I said, that guy right over there is one of the most powerful guys in college football, and he's eating at Becky's. And I'd go over there and talk to him, and he'd say, yeah, I know where good food's at. Or I'd see him down at Tellico Grains, down at Tellico, where he'd be eating down there. But what a great guy.
Yeah,
and he's one of the few guys Coach Trail didn't run off the show. Remember, who was it you ran off the show one time, Coach? I can't remember who it was.
I can't remember.
It wasn't Roy Kramer. But he came on here a few times, and he always argued, for the BCS because he thought it would, if you expanded it, it would hurt the bowl games and so forth. And he's probably going to be right on that. After this all plays out, it probably will hurt the bowl games.
Well, now, not changing the subject, but in this last year that we have this, we can have these 4 or 5 teams because don't they go to the deal next year?
I think so. 24. They go to the
12, don't they?
Yeah.
Go to 12 teams.
That's right. Year after the next.
Yeah.
Year after the next.
So that's the last year they get to have all those gimmies.
Yeah, that's correct. And then Jimmy Himes, Donnie, is retiring over to Sports Animal. He's been around a long time.
He has.
I know a lot of listeners have listened to him through the years, and I
been
know
here
Coach
since
Trail, you've
moved
been
up here in
you've been on their
1983, I
show
believe.
over there, and I always like to hear Jimmy Himes' commentary. The guy never smiled much, though.
No,
he was
he
always,
doesn't.
you couldn't get him to laugh much. Maybe
serious.
Maybe when he retires,
maybe
he'll get a sense of humor or whatever.
He might do.
He's always serious about everything. wasn't he?
Yeah,
Sure is.
yeah. He took it seriously.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, he wouldn't put up with us much,
No.
would he? We'd be, about 1 week, we'd be gone.
We'd wreck his ship.
That's for sure. Hey, the transfer portal, and Marcus, you can get on this too, and Donnie, the transfer portal has been wide open, and recruiting is always ongoing at the schools. What are players looking for most today? Are they looking for a place they can play, coach they are comfortable with and can trust, location of the school, style of play, academic status of the school, best NIL deal, success of the school's athletic program? Coach Trail, I'll start with you. What's the number one priority of recruits? If you were over there recruiting right now, what are you selling?
Chance to play.
I think so.
I believe
Chance
that's
to play.
I believe that's what they're looking for.
That's why they're
number
leaving.
one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think you can get everything. Basically, you're talking about at any school.
Just about any school offers. Just
And
about
so,
what
what
they're
I
offering.
if I'm going to work, I want to play.
Yeah. Sure.
And if you get in a situation where I'm behind, say, Donnie here, and he's got 3 years left, and he's the starter. There's no need me staying here.
Right.
All I'm going to ever be is in case
Right.
he gets hurt or something like that.
Right.
Only way I'm going to get to play.
And you wonder why guys sign up. I've seen quarterbacks sign up over here, and they've got 2 or 3 guys ahead of them, but they go ahead and sign.
Right. I
And,
don't
and then
either.
the next thing you know, well, they're leaving. They're transferring out of here. Well, did they not see that in the first place? I mean, why would you make that decision?
Well, a lot of them will come and go through an off-season program or something, and they see this other guy's, he's better than I am.
Yeah.
And, no need in kidding myself. I'm not going to beat him out. And he's got all the publicity going for him, so, I'm going to transfer.
Yeah, a lot of times it comes down to where somebody gets hurt and you can move in there.
Right.
You
Right.
know, and that's a
But that's
that's a tough deal to depend on.
I'd hate to put in 3 years over there and not get to play.
Yeah.
And no, I think that's the number one motivator.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Ray. I think, kids are just looking, and
Well,
college kids are just looking for a chance to play
I
football
don't know.
or basketball or any other sport.
When
I
I was
want to play.
They just
I'm
wanna
going to
play.
practice. I want to play.
When
That's
I was being
exactly right.
recruited in high school, that was my number one priority. I
Right.
looked at different places, and with some of the questions I asked, I said, well, who do you got playing for you right now? What do you got coming up?
Right.
I wanted to see where I stood. I mean, as a high school kid, you like to think your ego's pretty high up there, but you got to understand if you got a couple All-Americans ahead of you, chances
You
of
ain't
you
gonna
moving
play.
it, you're going to have to wait till you're a junior or senior to see playing time. I wanted to make sure that I had a chance as a sophomore
Right.
to make that move. It weighed heavily with me, and I would think that it would be a heavy thing with kids today when they're looking for someplace to play.
I agree. That's what I said. The chance to play is if I'm going to work hard, I want to play.
Yeah. And the NIL deal, I don't know where that's going to go if you're not playing.
I don't either.
You know, I don't know how that's going to play out on the deal.
It's such a wild west of it, and you don't know. They're
That's
still
the final whistle.
figuring it out.
Join us again next Saturday for the Goatee Sports Page. The best in local sports.
I think Donnie's ready to go to the game.
Oh,
Hold on.
No. Okay. All right, we're still
My
on?
bad. Yeah, we're still on.
All right, good.
Donnie's
I
just hungry.
I
'cause
guess he's bored with us. Let's get him out of here.
Well-
Get the hook and get these guys off of here.
You can't tell on the radio, but it smells really good at
It does.
Blue Tick today. There's a lot of pizza, and
Yeah.
Donnie's hungry.
Well,
My trigger finger got itchy right there.
Well, Marcus, I want to get to you on this one. In this segment, Notre Dame spoiled the baseball season for the Vols, and South Carolina dampened the football season for the Vols. Let's get to basketball now. What school will rain on the basketball parade? What school do you think Tennessee in the tournament would rain on this particular program and spoil it for Tennessee fans? I mean, I feel sorry for Tennessee fans because they've been devastated in the last year. They've been up here, and then they've just been deflated.
Well, it's better than sitting at the bottom and looking up, because we went through that where all three programs were not looking like they were contending. And in the last year, you've had baseball at number one, you've had football at number one, and likely that you could, before the end of the season, see the basketball team at number one. So you got to feel good that you've just gotten to that point, because that doesn't happen very often.
That's true.
But if you're going to talk about a spoiler,
yeah,
I don't like Tennessee's playing Vanderbilt again. I don't like.
I don't even talk about the SEC. We're done. We're in the tournament.
Well, I don't want to see Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament on day 2.
It's over and done in the tournament. We're in the tournament. I mean, it would take that.
Okay, I
It
don't
would
want to
take
see
a-
Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament as their first round matchup. I don't want to see that. But if you go past that into the NCAA, I mean, there's good matchups. Like Tennessee is a terrible matchup for Kansas. Kansas doesn't want Tennessee in their bracket at all. But they're also the same side. There are some teams Tennessee is not going to want on their side of the bracket either. So it's a matchup thing. Tennessee made one other shot at Arizona, but they really don't need Arizona in their quadrant of the bracket. They don't need to be put in the same bracket with Alabama, for that matter. I mean, Alabama's they're opposites.
Don't think they will be.
Alabama and Tennessee are opposites.
Maybe Tennessee needs to make their own bracket.
I mean,
it'd be nice if we could host it.
There's good matchups and bad matchups,
wouldn't it?
and that doesn't mean you can't win a matchup where you're disfavored. It's
Yeah,
just
that's
that
true.
there's some when you're doing these projections, there's all sorts of things you can consider. But that's why we actually sit down, play the games, and have a tournament.
I've got a couple of teams that I think they could have a problem with in the tournament. I think they could have a problem with Purdue because of the fact that Purdue's got the big guy inside, Edey, gigantic player in there, and that's why Vanderbilt gave them some problems the other night. They had some bigs, down underneath the goal.
Well, they had multiple. That was what gave Tennessee a problem.
Yes, and they were deep, and Purdue is deep. They got the big guy in there, and they shoot the basketball well. They shoot better than Vanderbilt. can shoot the ball.
Yeah.
And I think Purdue could be a team that could put them out. Another team on the radar that I think that they could have trouble with is Virginia. Not the fact that Virginia's got better personnel, which they don't, but Virginia plays that style of game which is slow down. I mean, every possession is from the start of the game to the end, not in the last 10 minutes of the game, but from the start of the game they play deliberate all the way through for the 40 minutes. And if they can keep the game close or a little bit ahead, I could see a team like that giving
I'll tell you another team that give us the problem is Michigan.
Well, they gave us problems. You're talking about Michigan and not Michigan State. You're talking Michigan.
Yeah.
Well, they gave us problems last year.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
Michigan
they're
State right now.
and
Michigan State right now.
And they got bigs. They got
oh
bigs,
gosh,
and they've
yeah.
played a really hard schedule. Their record is deceiving.
Yeah, it
Michigan
is.
State, because they played a really strong preseason
I watched them
schedule.
last night, and I'll tell you what. Now they are tough and big and fast.
Yeah.
Up and down that floor.
Yeah. And we didn't mention this, but Marcus Plavik has been a real attribute to this team. At Tennessee this year, the fact that the space he's taken up in there, his bulk and his toughness. You know.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah. We ready to go, Donnie?
We're ready to go.
All right. That'll do it for today's edition of the Goatee Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael at Loud Media, hosts the Blue Tick Tavern and all our sponsors.
That's the final
For
whistle.
Donnie Moore,
Join us again next Saturday for the
Ray
Goatee
Trail,
Sports
Marcus
Page.
Fitzsimmons, Troy Provo Heron. This is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner. See you next week.
Now.
That'll do it for this week's edition of the Goatee Sports Page. Thanks to all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Ray Trail, Marcus Fitzsimmons, Troy Provo Heron. Until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.